Welcome to another mask review video. Today I'm going to cover some of the new masks we tested, as well as some black masks. So before I show up the data this time, I want to cover a couple quick topics for those to know what's going to follow up after that. So I want to encourage everyone to hang around for a few minutes after the data just to learn a little bit more about mask wearing and some information. So I'm going to cover, one, how to wear a KF94 adjustable ear loop mask. I created some confusion, unfortunately, with the BOTN using the double ear loop thing. And that was just a byproduct of my test. It's not really how you should wear it, so I want to fix that. Also want to talk about surgical masks and good cloth masks. How much protection do they really offer, and should we be wearing those? I also want to spend a little bit of time talking about mask protection versus time, exposure time. Kind of a back of the envelope calculation to try to help give some more understanding about what does 60% versus 80 versus 90 versus 99 really mean to us. And then the last thing is I'll compare how does the last test data compare to the current test data. I always use some control masks to kind of calibrate to make sure that my tests are relatively repeatable, and I'll highlight that data here. So for those that waited, thank you. Here's the mask data. I'll put it up over my face because it's going to be big. We tested a whole bunch of masks. We got the Dr. Puri Black. We have the Bluna FaceFit in black and white. So it's pretty exciting. Some good ones up there, as well as tested some interesting KN95 masks. So we'll take it down. So let's get started. I think the first thing I want to talk about, I made a mistake when I was doing the BOTN. I was doing that double ear loop. A lot of people were assuming that that's how you wore the mask. So I want to correct that mistake. So I'm going to use this is the Bluna FaceFit. This also has an adjustable ear loop. So I wanted to take just a quick second there to describe about how you should wear these masks. So the most important thing of any mask, what's the best mask, is one that provides good protection, one that has a good face fit, and one that's comfortable that you can wear for a long time. So those are the three things. So we got to strive for all of those when we're picking out masks. So adjustable ear loop masks, what you want to do when you wear your KF94 mask is adjust the nose bridge. You have the loop, and if this feels too tight or too loose, they have some adjustments here. So if, let's say in this case I don't feel like it's tight enough, I can tighten the adjusting loops up here. Now I can feel it's kind of pulling tighter. It's a little strong on my ears. I may not be able to wear it that way for 8 hours. So if I need a little less, I can kind of adjust it back down. Do you need double ear loops? No, not really. For some people, the ear spacing to the edge of the mask might be close enough that over time, these stretch out and they can go ahead and they can fit a double ear loop. This mask, not so much. My ears are hanging out on that one, so it's a little too tight. So that's how you wear a KF94 mask. You don't have to do the double ear loop. I apologize for creating that confusion. So thanks for hanging around and watching that. Okay, next up, surgical mask versus a good cloth mask. This came up because I've been talking with some friends, and we're talking about masks, and they're like, oh, I don't need any mask. I get them from work. I get those blue ones, the surgical masks. Those are really good, right? And the answer is not really. I mean, it really depends. It's a maybe. So this is a cloth mask surgical mask that I are provided to me at my work. And these masks, I took one and we tested it out. So, how effective are surgical masks? Well, surgical masks, the media inside of it, if it's actually a real surgical mask, there's 3 levels from ASTME level 1, 2, and 3. And those primarily are rated around the filtration media efficiency. So the ASTM level 1 has a 95% at 0.1 micron. And ASTM level 2 and level 3 have 98%. There's some slight differences in terms of blood penetration measurements that they do between the 2 and 3, but not a huge difference there. A couple caveats. One, that rating by surgical mask, the ASTM level, is very loose. So we'll talk a little bit about why that is. But I think the biggest issue with surgical masks, whether the media is good or not, is they don't seal around the sides. So you could put the best media here, and most of the air is going to go around this. Now, this mask is really bad because it doesn't even have a metal nose bridge. I think it actually has a plastic nose bridge, which is really bad. So what's happening is, and the test results show it, these only had about 23% efficiency, is that most of the air is going this way through it and this way through it. But full disclosure, before we get too far along in this, and I'll flash it on the bottom, cloth masks and surgical masks have an important role in protecting others. They're good at source appointment. They're going to catch those big droplets when they come out of your mouth and impact the back of the mask here while they're really large and capture them. So they're good for that, but they're not really good for protecting yourself. So a good KF94 or a KF94 or KN95 or N95, it's both ways. Good protection to others and good protection to yourself. That's why I think at this point in the pandemic, we should be thinking about better masks. So are surgical masks good? Well, I tested this one like this, 23%. Basically, most of the air is going around the mask. I went like this and held it against my face as tight as I could breathe through the media. I got about 77% efficiency. So is a surgical mask good? Well, if you're willing to walk around like this all day, perhaps. But my argument is, if you're going to spend the time to go source a mask, find an rated ASTM level 2 mask, something that actually has good protection, just buy a KF94, buy a KN95. You're already spending all this effort, and you're going to spend maybe 50 cents more per mask or something, but you're going to get way better protection. The other question I've heard is, well, can I double up masks? Can I wear a cloth mask and a surgical mask to improve my filtration efficiency? And the answer is really, well, not really. If we think about how masks work, especially ones that leak, is that most of the time the air is going around the mask, right? It's going here. So if I go ahead and put this mask on and then I put another mask on, all it does is it drives wherever the leaks can come in. I'm actually going to make it worse, because the more pressure drop that I create across the mask, the easier it is, or the more likely the air is going to go around the mask. So the more pressure drop, the more bypass you're going to have, so more leakage. And so putting 2 surgical masks at 30% doesn't give you 60%. In fact, it'll make it worse. So it's best to wear one mask that's really protective, that's comfortable, and that has a good face fit. So if you have those at work, they're good for protecting other people. At minimum, cloth mask, then surgical mask. Then if you can do KF94, KN95, that would be the next, and then like N95. So that's kind of that order of perspective. But those don't provide you much protection. One other topic I want to talk about is mask protection versus time. So when we talk about 60% filtration efficiency, and what does this all buy us? So we'll do a little thought experiment here, or back in the envelope calculation. So really what I want to do is to say, let's make up a case. Let's say you're with another person who is emitting COVID-19 viruses. Okay, we're going to make this up. Now, full disclosure, I don't know the infectious dose threshold. I, in fact, can't find any literature about what the infectious dose threshold is yet for the ID50 for COVID-19 is yet. But let's just assume some numbers here, and that's what we'll do. But understand that these are made up. And also how the virus spreads in terms of droplets versus aerosols and all that stuff adds a lot of complexity. So we're not going to touch all the possibilities. I'm in a room and the wind's blowing at this speed and I have an air conditioner. Am I safe? It's too complex for that. That's why simply wearing a good mask all the time is the best option, but we'll talk about why that is. But I'm also not going to cover the epidemiological standpoint of like, super spreading events, and you're in the grocery store, and what's the particular case count in your county, all that stuff. I'm not going to step on their toes. That's not my expertise. So let's just talk about what does mask filtration buy you in this very, very basic case. So let's assume you're near a person that is COVID positive. They're emitting COVID viruses at 100. When you're standing in distance away from them, 4 feet, or you're violating that 6 feet, you're breathing in 100 COVID viruses every 1 minute. And we'll assume that the magic number today is 1,000. Again, these are made up, so don't think that this is real, but just as a comparison. So every minute you breathe in 100, and then 1,000 is the magic number before you're going to have some problems. Okay, so if you wear no mask, that number, that time for you is 10 minutes. That's how long it's going to take you to hit that viral threshold. So let's say we don a fabric mask like this one, right? We wear this mask. That person's still emitting 100, but now only about half those particles are getting I'm inhaling them, right? So that extends your protection to 20 minutes, which in the beginning of the pandemic, that makes a really big difference. If you're really minimizing indoor time and keeping social distance and stuff like that, and your interactions are very short, yeah, this is actually really good because that doubles the amount of time. But when we talk about going back to work, like some people are, or having to interact with more people on a frequent basis, that's probably not enough. Is 20 minutes really enough? So then we can talk about things like, a low performing mask, something that might give you like 75% protection or 80%. So like 75% might be like a really good fitting ASTME level 3 or level 2 mask that has a really good fit for you. So you get about 70% protection. So that would take you from, remember, 10 minutes no mask, 20 minutes cloth mask, 40 minutes if you wear like an ASTME level 2. Okay, so that's a still pretty big improvement. Now let's say we go to something that's a little higher end, like Air Queen, the one that I tested. I know there's a little bit of variability. Air Queen or a KF80 or something that's in the 90% threshold, like a poor fitting good mask, right? Maybe you don't have a great face fit, you could get 90%. Going to that 90% takes you from, we talked about surgical mask or something like 40 minutes. Now we're at 100 minutes, 1.6 hours. That's a huge improvement, right? So you went from 10 minutes with no mask to 1.6 hours around that person. Okay, what happens when we go to 95? So just a 5% improvement in the filtration efficiency, which seems kind of marginal. Like who cares? Yeah, plus minus 5%, who cares, right? You go from 100 minutes to 200 minutes, just that 5%, from 90 to 95, which goes from 1.6 hours to 3.3 hours. It's a huge improvement. What happens when you go from 95 to 99? So and realistically, none of the masks that I'm testing here, I'm gonna show some test data that's that high, but that's like a really special case, me really focusing on getting a good mask fit. The reality of you actually having 99% filtration efficiency for the amount of time I'm about to talk about is unlikely. But if you were to get a 99% mask, like you had at P100 or something like that, you go from 3.3 hours or 200 minutes to 1,000 minutes or 16 hours. So 95 to 99, that last 4% buys you, it's really an exponential curve. It buys you a ton more time. And if you were to get, like I say, 99.5, that gets you 33 hours. So no mask, 10 minutes, an N99 level mask takes you to 16 hours. This is why medical professionals need really good protection when they're around COVID positive people all the time. That's the kind of protection. And that was the whole point of the video that I was trying to create, which is how can we source masks? Because we don't have enough N95s, and don't get me started on why we don't. I don't want to make this political, but we should have, but we don't. So we're in that scenario. So what can we do to improve this? And that is we can extend our mask supply by using other masks that won't take those N95s from healthcare workers. So that's why I started looking at KF94s and KN95s, because there might be a good option for the average everyday person who is not always around a positive COVID person. You're just at work, you don't know if they have it or don't have it, but you need that protection, right? So that's a good example about how the time impact is for these masks. So when you start getting up in these 90s, these few percent actually have a really big difference. So FaceFit is really, I mean, to me, it always drives home that FaceFit's really a fundamental aspect to protection if you're going to be around known positive people or have to interact with a lot of people for a long duration. Key thing, long duration with the same person. Remember, that whole case is you'd have to be sitting around that person for 33 hours. I think it's unlikely that any of you would do that, but I think that's why getting something into the 80s or 90s buys you enough time that you're probably not actually going to interact with someone for 3 hours continuously in the same room, but it still may happen for some people. Last thing is, how does this data compare to the previous examples? So up here we'll have the comparison of the Moldex, the BOTN, and the Air Queen. So I retested them when I tested all these masks. I like to use some method of control, right? So I always use my N100 as a control, and the idea behind that is that the N100 mask will always give me like the maximum resolution of my system. In today's test, I got 100%. In prior tests, I got like 99.7, and maybe I think I got 99.9. I'll put the data up here. I can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't print it out in advance. So again, I tested it. I went back and tested the BOTN. I got 99.2 for this example test. In past, I've got 99.5. So again, the BOTN test's pretty similar, but more importantly, I wanted something kind of in the middle range. So I went and tested one of the Air Queens again. I got 90.0%. So again, I think, I'll throw up the previous comparison data from all three tests, the 4% sodium, 4% salt solution, the 16% salt solution, and this test. So I'll stick that up there. So I think, again, it's really repeatable when I do these measurements that I can get very similar values with the same mass that I've tested day after day. So I think the data that I've shown in the rest of this is probably pretty reasonably accurate in terms of my test aerosol and the FaceFit for me. So remember, all of this data that you're looking at here is for my face for this test aerosol. I think it translates nicely to the issue at hand with COVID-19. Those particles are going to be a lot larger than that. So if anything, I'm on the small side at maybe 60 or 100 nanometers. And as you go up, you typically get better filtration efficiency. So okay, so let's dive into my mask recommendations. So thanks for hanging around for that probably 10-minute discussion. Okay, what are my mask recommendations? Mask recommendations right now. Large face. I'm still right there with the BOTN. I think right now for a cost for my face, this is my go-to. I really like it. It's got the double wire nose bridge, a stiff outer lining, adjustable ear loops, and volumes are very cheap, and they seem readily available. And of course, I'll always link the URL for where I've purchased these, so I'll do that. Some of these were sent to me, so I don't quite have the URLs because some of them actually got mailed to me directly, but I'll try to find the equivalent. So that's my recommendation. Large face alternative, because I know that in the future, maybe those aren't all around. Another good option if you have a large face is the LG Airwasher Basic. So this is also a really nice mask. I'll say that it has a couple things that are actually maybe a little bit better than the BOTN, but unfortunately I can't source these things for much less than $3.50 a mask. And the BOTNs, I bought 100 of them for $1.60 each, so it's kind of like, I don't know if it's quite worth the extra cost. Build quality is really good. One thing that I really like is that the nose bridge is a double wire nose bridge like most of them, but it's actually much stiffer, a thicker gauge wire, so it's a lot stiffer. I like that it can get a really good nose seal. And I will say that the ear loop adjustment is a little bit nicer. They have a fold over and seaming process. It might be a little hard to see in the camera because it's white, but they have a fold over and seaming process similar to the Bluna, which I'll talk about. And so it's a larger mask. fits well. That thick nose wire is really good. So it seems like a really good like equivalent to the BOTN. I would actually almost argue that it's a little softer on the inside too. So a really good, you know, if this was $1.60, I don't know, it's a tough call, but they're pretty nice as well. So an alternative, I know some people are not in the US that are watching these videos. I've had a lot of inquiries for where I can buy them in Spain and Germany and all over the world. I unfortunately don't know, but I want to just provide some other options. So if you can source some LG Airwasher Basics, I'll throw some pics. If you go to the later reviews, the full reviews, I'll put some pictures of this up there, and I'll talk a little bit more about them. Okay, so for smaller faces, I think my recommendation right now is the Bluna FaceFit. This mask just came available to me. I'll again link in the description. Really a nice mask. It's similar to the BOTN in terms of the kind of stiffness and some of those features. It has adjustable ear loops. It actually has kind of a little bit of a nicer adjustable ear loop, but you can see that it's a little bit smaller than the BOTN. And I'll just quickly install the BOTN, and then we can kind of, just as a visual representation. So this one actually is broken, sorry. Oh, yeah, well, I'm not gonna edit that out, so sorry. I'll just hold it against my face on this side. I unfortunately don't have mad editing skills, so it takes me a long time to make these videos, so I try to do them in as few shots as possible. So the BOTN kind of sticks out quite a ways. But the Bluna here is very similar, stiff, adjustable ear loops. But what you'll notice still sticks out, but notice it's much narrower on my face. So this might be a really good option for people with smaller faces. Plus this particular one is black, and I'm a little jealous. I think even for me, I'm pretty comfortable with this mask. Pressure drop's good, filtration efficiency's good. So that's another option. And we'll talk more about this in the full review after this. Other option, if alternative, is the blue. Still a good standby. If you can't find the Bluna FaceFits, then the blue mask is still pretty good. Again, a smaller, we can compare the Bluna versus the Blue 3D versus the Bluna. They're very similar in both height and thickness. So pretty similar sizing. Again, good for smaller faces. Pressure drop's good. Filtration efficiency is good. So that's my recommendation for smaller faces right now. In a close honorable mention is the Dr. Puri Black. This might be a good option for people too. It's really like very similar to the Dr. Puri. It's kind of that soft material. And the nice thing is kind of why I give it honorable mention. It's a little bit of a larger mask. You know, it's about the BOTN size, and I give it honorable mention because when they dye it, whatever the process is or the material that they're using for the black, it makes it a little stiffer, so I don't get as much mask collapse. So another good option if you are out looking for a mask and the blacks are available, and I failed to install this, and again, I'm not going to edit this out. You're going to watch this live. I'm forcing you to. Yeah, so the Dr. Puri Black, it's a little stiffer. So I get still mask collapse, but it doesn't like immediately suck to my mouth. It does pop back out because it's a little bit stiffer. So honorable mention for another good option. I know some people are saying that the Dr. Puri seem to fit a little bit wider, like larger variety of face sizes than the BOTN, so it might be a good option as well. Okay, let's jump into the official review. I'll spend a little bit more time talking about each mask and putting some more data up. I have to get my data ready here. So let's talk a little bit more about the mask that we tested today. So the first mask that I tested, and I kind of sorted the data, that summary data, and we'll go through this order, and kind of like my preferred masks in terms of like collapse, filtration efficiency, and pressure drop. If you're a person that collapse doesn't matter, then just look at the data from filtration efficiency and pressure drop. Then that's fine. You can sort it that way. So it's up to you as a person. Okay, so the Bluna FaceFit Black. These are a slightly smaller mask, similar to the blue size. The size information I don't have in front of me. I'll have to put it up here on the screen. So I'll include the data set all up there: filtration efficiency, collapse, and size. They do have a lot number. The particular lot number that I tested was, well, it has an expiration date of a manufacturer date of 07/20/2020, so fairly recently. An expiration date of 7/20/2023, and a lot number of 2030. 7/19/2023. Couple points about this one. One, the ear loop adjustment is a little bit nicer than the BOTN. Actually, they use the fold over and then heat seam to do it. It's got this like basically a loop here. It's a little bit nicer, similar elasticity to the ear loops. Good stiff double wire nose bridge, like almost all these KF94s. They all have double nose wires. Inside is kind of soft and smooth, so really a really great mask. And because it's black, I'm already a sucker. I'm a sucker for black masks, so it's really a great option and really like it. So I think a great option for people out there. Okay, next on the list was the Airwasher Basic. So the Airwasher Basic, lot number, well, date of manufacture, expiration date, sorry, expiration date is 6/15/2023. The lot number I can't quite read because it's in Korean. I'll have a picture up there. It's 168. They did have put English instructions on the back. Okay, so this really great, really nice mask. Build quality is really, really good. Stiff material on the outer layer. I really like that. It's actually maybe a little stiffer than the BOTN on the outer layer. The nose bridge is really a thick gauge wire. Really like that. Ear loops very similar to all of them. They're they're very comfortable. But again, this has a double seam ear loop adjustable ear. But it's just on one side. Just the bottom is like double seamed over. So I think they kind of win a point in that for me relative to the BOTN. So I hope when the BOTNs, if they come out with another version of the BOTN that's in black, really the alternate design to the adjustable ear loop might be a nice bonus. So this is a bigger mask than bigger mask face-wise. It's a similar size to the BOTN. Size information will be up there. Filtration efficiency 99.8. I mean, really, really good. Really, that filtration efficiency is just primarily due, I think, to the fact that a lot of these medias are probably really in that range. The reason that this probably had really good filtration efficiency is that I could get a really awesome seal in the nose bridge. That stiff gauge wire is really going to provide you a good face fit. Pressure drop's pretty reasonable, 0.28. So I think if you can't find a BOTN, these were just spendy. I paid $3.50 for each one, plus I had to pay shipping, so I think the total price was like almost $4 or $5. I ordered a few other masks, but it's like $4 or $5 a mask. So that's kind of expensive. But if you're in another country or in Canada or somewhere else, it's a good option. We tested the Bluna FaceFit White. So just like the other one, I couldn't get quite there's a little bit of pressure drop difference between the black and the white, and that just might be my test method, that breathing test. And I'll link a supplemental video to all of this. So if you're watching and you want to see the supplemental video, it's in the description of just like all the raw data. It's not a great test, so if you see 0.28, 0.23, that's me really estimating the value, and so I'm not always perfect. I have to breathe at the same rate. But so the Bluna FaceFit White, the Bluna FaceFit White, again, lot number, so date of manufacturer is 9/21/2020, so very recently, and the expiration date 9/20/23, lot number 2039. So the very similar to the black, almost identical. It's a little less stiff. I noticed that all the black masks seem to be more stiff than their white counterpart, so that's kind of actually a nice, I think, advantageous. The stiffer the mask for me, the little bit the better. I prefer that a little bit more. Again, they double seam the ear loops, both top and bottom on this one. Otherwise, it's nearly identical to the black. I don't see any really differences other than the color of the fabric. A really nice mask. I'm really digging them a lot. If you have a smaller face, really a good option. Could easily wear that for 6 hours. I mean, at the end of the 6 hours, my ears always hurt. Like they just get annoyed by having something pull on it. So you can go to ear savers or some other stuff, but I normally don't. Okay, Dr. Puri Black. So I forgot to mention the filtration efficiency for that, so 99.3. So 99.3 and 0.28 pressure drop with a partial collapse, so I think it's a really nice mask. Okay, Dr. Puri Black. So the Dr. Puri Black came in at 99.1% filtration efficiency, 0.28 pressure drop, so pretty much the same as the standard white one. The only thing is it's a little bit stiffer now. It still collapses. I gave it like a kind of a partial rating, partial to yes. It's better than the white, but not nearly as good as like the Bluna or the BOTN. But a really nice fitting mask. It's a little bit bigger on the face. You don't get as much projection on this mask, so the wider actually takes it back closer to your ears, because if you notice, like the other mask with more projection, as they sit out, they pull this edge back away. So not a ton of projection on the mouth, so it's pretty close to mouth. Still get mouth, collapse, but in general it pulls back away. So I guess it's only during like heavy breathing events if I'm talking, and it's not as bad as the white. So another good mask. This one comes in at lot number 3080 and expiration of 8/26/2023. I'm going to start including the lot information and pictures of it, just so people can kind of get a guess of like what this, when they get a sample, what does it look like. I can't guarantee you that every mask is going to perform at that rating, but it's at least a good thing to do. Okay, so the Bonafide headband mask was sent over to me. The Bonafide headband, is very, very similar to this is a KN95 mask. It's it's like identical to the ear loop version, except they just added a longer loop so you can wear it as a headband. Now, a couple of things. This was sent to me by someone, so thank you for sending that to me. I don't necessarily, I I'm not going to really test masks for people because I don't think that's my job is to help, my goal of this is to help increase the supply of masks. So that means sourcing masks and providing places in which you can get what I think are legitimate masks. So I was interested in, because do the headbands, do they test as good as the ear loop, which I had already tested in a previous video, and and also they were an older version. They didn't have they changed the design, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but they added the BonafideMask.com logo later. This is the older one. Some have said that it's a little bit more thicker than the current version, and it is noticeably thicker. The older version is a little bit thicker. But in terms of filtration efficiency, the Bonafide Powecom came in at 98.9 with a 0.25 inch pressure drop, so that's really good. I mean, the headband's nice too. I'm not a fan of the KN95 structure because when I talk, it pulls down and I feel like I have to do this a lot with it. If you're not talking, it's a really good mask. The headbands take the load off the ears. It's kind of approaching an N95 style with the headbands. And so good performance. So I think Bonafide's kind of legit supplier. So to date, right? Of course, this can always change, but so far right now, everything looks pretty legit. I also have some Arun masks that came in. These were provided to me. So full disclosure, this was provided to me by Longham Merchandise Incorporated. They look like they're maybe the official distributor or a distributor. They reached out to me and just asked me if they could send me some. So they had sent me a couple versions. They had sent me this version, which I'll talk about, which is the external nose clip. Oh, I missed one, so I guess we'll be a little out of order. That's okay. The external nose clip version of this. So again, a KN95 mask. Lot number, I don't see it on the box. I'll update it on there. I didn't see a lot number on these, so that would be my only complaint. So the external nose clip version of this is like a metal clip that's visible here. They have two versions. And they do the thermal seaming for the description, the Arun GB 2026 2006 K95. This mask, I think it actually tested better than the other version with the internal nose clip. So I got 99.6 to 99.9. So hey, I cannot complain about those kind of filtration levels. I think a lot of, again, it depends on your face shape. So for me, I'm really sensitive to the nose bridge. So this external nose clip with a thicker metal, really nice, gives you a better nose thing. What's my only complaint about it? Well, it has a 0.48 inch pressure, 0.48 inch of water pressure drop when we compare that to the Bonafide Powecom headband version or the other version is about 0.25. So it is a noticeable higher pressure drop, but the filtration efficiency is really good, and this external nose bridge gives you a really good face seal. So that's like a really high rating. Will you always get that? Will everyone get that? No. Don't worry about plus or minus 0.5%. I don't have repeatability on this. It depends on face fit. You're gonna have lot to lot or mass to mass variation in terms of filtration efficiency. So let's not get too hung up there. But these are really nice. Full disclosure, they were sent to me on that behalf of that company, so they did not pay me or anything to say that. They just provided a sample. I'll provide the link to where they sell them at on there. I just wanted to, they provided a legitimate mask, so cool for them. Expand the supply. We'll call it the ILWOUL KF94. So these are available on there. These are a slightly smaller masks. So these compare roughly to the, if we compare, let's say, the BOTN here to this, you can see that it's a little bit smaller. It's on the order of the BOTN size. This particular mask, good fit, good double nose bridge wire, KF94 style, filtration efficiency 99.5, boom, good. The only complaint, 0.48 inches of water. 0.58 inches of water pressure drop. So that's a little high. I get mask collapse because of that, even though it is a little stiff. So it's just not the easiest to breathe in. Is it a safe option? Yeah, I mean, you can't knock 99.5. So again, they have a good nose bridge on this, so I get a good face seal for my face. It's just that the pressure drop's a little high, but they are very reasonably priced. So I think I'd have to double check, but I think they're you can find them for like $1 a pop on Be Healthy. So hey, good option to throw in your glove box or have a couple of extra spares just in case. So still provide you protection, right? Goal is protection. Next goal is something that you can wear all day. Let's go to the Arun, the KN95. This is the internal nose bridge. So this one, again, double wire nose bridge, except what's different between this and the external nose bridge is that you can clearly see this much thicker aluminum nose bridge versus the smaller metal wire. So this is much stiffer. This is a little more compliant. It depends on your face and your nose bridge whether that will really matter. So this is, again, a KN95, 98% filtration efficiency. What's the difference between this and that one? Hard to say if that's really a media difference or really that's just because I could get a much better seal on the nose bridge on that mask. 98%, 0.45 pressure drop. So again, I'm noticing these masks have a little bit of a higher pressure drop than other ones, but they do provide protection. So if you need a protective mask and that's what you care about the most, that's a good option. Or if you have some of those and you're wondering if they're legit, seems like from that supplier, they are. Okay, next recommendation is the ULWOUL. You might notice a slight different of a tire and a slight different lighting. I had to reshoot this, some of the video card got corrupted. So we'll jump back in. So the ULWOUL Keeper KF94. This is, these were, let's see, ULWOUL Keeper KF90, let's see, ULWOUL Keeper Black. We'll start with the black one, 98.4% filtration efficiency. 0.43 inch pressure drop's a little higher, and then a partial nose collapse. The nice thing about this one, the black material, so that's a big bonus. Unfortunately, it does not have adjustable ear loops, so I just had to do the loop technique to get them a little bit shorter. Double bridge, nose wire, yep, 2 of them in there. It's a little bit of a smaller mask than others. I'll put the size information up there. They're a protective mask. They're not my favorite. The pressure drop's a little high on these. And without the adjustable ear loop. But if you're looking for a black mask and these are available in your area, these are a good option. So no complaints on that. Lot ID information. It's difficult to read, but 2020 date of manufacture, or must be expiration date 2023-08-12, and then a lot number, 3 Korean symbols, and then 2008-AK. Okay, so the ULWOUL Keeper White. The ULWOUL Keeper White, I got a little bit different filtration efficiency than this. I got 96.7. What I can say is that the ULWOUL Keeper White, it's a lot softer than the ULWOUL Keeper Black. So again, I noticed this trend that the black face masks have a little bit of a thicker or a little bit more stiffer fabric than the white. The equivalents, the same size as the ULWOUL Keeper Black, non-adjustable ear loop. Pretty much just like, same dimensions as the ULWOUL Keeper Black. I only got 96.4. The only thing I could notice, and I think why it didn't get as good, is for some reason the nose wire in this one seems to be a little less stiff than the black version of it. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe just a slightly different time of manufacturing, but it just feels like a little not as stiff. I couldn't quite get a good nose bridge. Maybe it was just a byproduct of that particular time doing it, but otherwise they look identical to me, so can't say exactly why, but still within the protective range. And again, also a little bit of high pressure drop on that one at 0.4 inches of water. Date of manufacture 8/10/20, or expiration date, I'm guessing 8/10/2023, and lot ID is 2008-AK. So again, the same lot information. I'm not sure how they do the lot information for that, so I'm not sure. Okay, another mask. It was a little out of order, so my apologies. The Kleannara. So I want to say a huge thank to someone for sending this down from Canada to me. They had mentioned that this mask was available readily in some Canadian locations there, some Canadian Korean shops, so they were curious if they were legit. Based on the data, it looks like they are. The Kleannara came in at 98.7 with a 0.3 inch pressure drop. Do see a little bit of partial mask collapse. They're good masks, no adjustable ear loop. They are a little bit of a different shape, so we'll use this like ULWOUL Keeper Black to kind of compare. You can see that they're roughly the same width of that, but this area here is a little bit bigger. It's kind of a little bit different shape. So it's a little narrower here and a little wider there. But otherwise a good mask. I didn't see any issues. 0.3 inch pressure drop. It's hard to resolve 0.3 versus 0.28. So yeah, comfortable mask. No complaints. So seems like they're a legit option. So if you're in Canada or you're somewhere else in the world and you run across the Kleannara, it's going to be a good option. Let's see. Expiration date is 07/15/2023. Lot number F1 287120022. And also thanks for sending that. They actually sent 3 of them. So super thanks to that. It's really nice of you. Fortunately, sometimes I screw up and I punch these and I have to do it again twice, so I go through 2 masks, but I got it on the first try, so thank you very much for sending spare masks. I really appreciate that. Another mask that I was really interested in doing, and a lot of people ask, is like the KF80. This is the ILWOUL KF80. So the ILWOUL KF80 came in. Actually, I was kind of surprised it did better than I expected. So 91.8% filtration efficiency with a 0.2-inch pressure water or pressure drop. So it's one of the lower on the pressure drop side that I tested today. But you know, pretty decent protection, 91%. So breathes pretty easy. I do get a partial mask collapse on this one. Because the material's not that stiff, so it's not as bad as other masks that I had, like let's say the Dr. Puri White or something like that. So I don't notice it too much just during breathing. But otherwise, a good mask. It's the same exact size as the KF94 that they have. Looks identical. I mean, they must just add a different media inside of it. Double bridge nose wire. Yeah, it's a good option. I mean, I think it's, you know, one of those things where you're trying to trade off like breathability versus protection. So might be a good compromise there in terms of getting the most breathability out of it. Let's jump to one other interesting one. So this is the filter FLTR95. This particular mask is not marked KN95 on it. I'll put the pictures up. Someone had sent them along where they got them from. So thank you to someone for sending this to me. I was interested in this mask because this was available at Costco. There's a lot of Costco's here in the U.S., very common store. A lot of people shop there. So I was interested because, hey, protective mask available in Costco, good way to expand the supply. You know, from a quality standpoint, feel really nice. Ear loops are really pretty good quality. I had to shorten them up a little bit because for me, I always have to do that, but everyone's a little different. What was kind of surprising on that, so I have two points to test. So the first one is if I just do the Filter 95 as worn, I got 84.5% with a 0.15-inch pressure drop. And I didn't get, you know, partial, and I say partial collapse because it doesn't tighten as much as other face masks. Well, why is that? Well, I can't get the nose bridge tight. The material in this nose bridge is like really thin. It doesn't feel like metal wire. It feels like a piece of aluminum's in there, like a thin piece of aluminum. And so I can't get it tight around my nose, and so it's leaking past here. So what's really disappointing is that if I go to a position in which I just take and I pinch the nose bridge across like this with my fingers and did the test, pressure drop kind of goes up a little bit, which means more air is going through the mask up to 0.25. But here's the kicker. I got 99.9% filtration efficiency. So it's really disappointing because a really great media, you know, good job on the media, and the design fits my face well. Everyone's face is a little different, but, you know, good material, good everything. They cheaped out on the nose clip, and it killed it. I mean, it's just so if anyone from there is ever watching, fix your nose clip. You know, this is a really good mask. It would be great if it had a better nose clip. So it's kind of sad that a good quality mask got ruined just by that. Let's jump into the last couple masks, which I've already highlighted in the video. You know, I tested a cloth mask. This was also supplied by Longham merchants. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce them. They had supplied, this is the WeeCan. It's like a reusable cloth mask with it has a pocket. You can put like one of those PM25, you know, and PM25 is a made up standard for this media. You see it a lot, like, oh, PM25, but like doesn't really mean anything. So, you know, adjustable ear loop cloth mask. I tightened it up really good and tight to get a good seal. What did I end up with? You know, 53.4%, which is kind of on par for my test. Now, I think my test slightly overestimates the filtration efficiency because there's some filtration efficiency happening in my lungs that basically shows like it filters better. So it's probably actually a little bit lower than that. So on the low end, it's hard for me to figure out exactly where it is. So let's just take that with a little bit of grain of salt, and so it's not perfect. So the WeeCan cloth, yeah, 53.4, 0.15, mass collapse. You know, my argument is always, if you're going to get like that level of pressure, I was like 0.15, well, you could upgrade to a KF80 at 0.2-inch pressure drop, which is pretty much the same, and get like, I don't know, 40% more filtration efficiency, or if you watch the beginning of the video, that's a long duration next to someone. So, you know, cloth masks, again, they work great to protect other people. They catch large droplets. They do a lot of things, but they don't, unfortunately, provide a ton of protection to the user. So that's the WeeCan market. No lot ID on this, and not too worried about that. I don't think that's a hugely protected one. Okay, so the last mask that I'll review is the Zahushi surgical face mask. These are just like a blue cloth face mask. this one that I tested was actually had already been worn for maybe an hour or so, but I don't think that affects the test data at all, because this mask, like mini cloth or like mini surgical mask, you know, they're okay. And I think the particular on this particular mask is the nose bridge is not metal. It's like a piece of like plastic, so it does not at all conform to your face. So what you end up having to do is like what the original test was, I found that, you know, this mask I ended up with 27.8% filtration efficiency at a pressure drop of less than 0.005. Well, it's like nothing. Why is it nothing? Well, because most of the air is not going through the media at 0.05. It's going around it, up through my nose and through the sides of the mask here. So not a ton of protection, 23%. That's what happens. So I tried to just say, okay, how good is the actual media? So I took and I held it like this. I got a filtration efficiency of 77.9% at a pressure drop of 0.2. So that kind of makes sense. I'm getting most of the air through there. So is it a mask that I would recommend? No, absolutely not. Just for this reason alone. Do I recommend surgical masks like an ASTM level 1 or 2? I think I haven't really spent a lot of time sourcing them because my goal is to like get really protective masks. So I think, you know, in this case, if you got 0.2% inches, you know, let's say this mask had actually a good seal here, and I got 0.2 inches of water pressure drop for a filtration efficiency is 78%, 77.9. You know, my argument is always, well, for that pressure drop, go to a KF80. You can get quite a bit more improvement for the exact same pressure drop, or why not go a little higher, like that Bluna FaceFit Black that I got 0.23 and get like 99%. So to me, it's like, they're fine to protect other people, and they're convenient in that sense that they're readily available and really inexpensive. But I think for like an extra 50 cents or 75 cents a mask, you can get some serious protection. So mostly I wanted to do it as a test to show kind of the variability that you get, or the level of protection that a surgical mask can make. Because I think there's a lot of people there. I see a lot of people saying, and you saw in my early video that, oh, I wear one of those blue surgical masks. They're really protective. They have a BFE of 98%, which stands for bacterial filtration efficiency, which is not a really good metric. All right, well, that's all the masks I'm going to review for now. I'm not sure what I'm going to test next. I might look at a few other masks that are out there just to try to keep expanding the supply. And I think there's some other tests that I want to look at, which is like how long you can wear a mask. So I'm going to have to try to design some experiments. Unfortunately, that takes a lot of time for me to do that. So it may not be a little while for a video, but if you'd like, you can subscribe, and then you'll get whatever latest videos I have. If you are subscribed and you see bicycle videos, coronavirus is over. Let's see, if you have any comments or questions, throw them in the comments box below, especially if you're like, hey, I want to check out this mask or that mask. I'm always interested in see what people are interested in mask-wise. I don't necessarily want to test masks for individual people. My goal is to source masks, and so if someone has purchased some masks already from a place, yeah, that might work out for me because I don't have to spend $100 to buy like the Filter 95. So I don't want to really buy 100 masks from Costco. Only discovered that none of them are really that good. And the bigger issue is like I don't want to spend $100 all the time. It gets a little expensive. So if there's something you're interested in, throw a comment in the box. I do check them out. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging around. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, you're awesome. Thank you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.